Good afternoon, everybody, here on the Unfiltered podcast. It is Wednesday, November 28th, I think it is? 27th, here. Recording this on a Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving Eve, what you want to call it. And just want to check in real quick. I'm going to talk about a couple things here on the Unfiltered pod. Trying to keep doing this consistently as possible. I mean, it's becoming more and more impossible with home life getting in the way, of course, which of course is important because it is obviously number one in my life. Obviously, my wife, my kids are number one priority no matter what, before anything that goes. A couple things to talk about on the podcast today. The Lamar Jackson narrative. I want to spend a couple minutes on that. That's been a hot button topic pretty much the last couple of weeks, especially this week now as the Ravens now are 9-2, top my power rankings, especially to a little quick peek in my power rankings, the number one rankings, surprise. Which of course we'll get to the power rankings in a second too as well, the top five, bottom five, or I should start calling the top five sad five, because the five teams on the bottom, especially the 3 to 4 teams on the bottom of the barrel of the NFL, are very sad situations there right now. So I'll discuss that too as well. My reactions to the college football playoff, and I'm going to give you my special Thanksgiving Day picks here on the show. I'll give my remaining picks that I do with Zach typically every week, although we won't probably be able to get it in this week because of the holidays, and he's traveling this week too as well. So unfortunately, for the second week in a row, scheduling has been an issue. So I'll probably do a solo podcast on maybe late Thursday night on the Unrestricted podcast with my picks or maybe on here. We'll see how it plays out. But the Lamar Jackson narrative, and I want to be very clear. There is not one player, maybe outside Russell Wilson, who was my favorite player in the NFL anyway, that I am rooting for more than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's had a phenomenal season. He's definitely an MVP candidate and race. I already said that right now, as we now get into week 13 in the NFL season, if you told me Lamar Jackson MVP, I wouldn't argue with you. If you told me Russell Wilson MVP, I wouldn't argue with you. To me, I have Russell by a razor thin margin, and it's literally, it's pretty much a virtual tie if we're going to be really honest. But either guy you pick to win the MVP, you know, Russ or Lamar, there's no bad answer at this point. I think Russell Wilson's been a lot more consistent throughout the year, but I think the highs Lamar Jackson has reached this year has been much higher. He's had very few lows, but again, Russ has not any lows this year at all, which is the reason why I have Russ barely ahead. I've compared Russell Wilson to Tim Duncan. You know, he's not very. You know, it's funny. He plays a position, and his skill set would say he's flashier than most standard quarterbacks, but he's not very flashy. Whereas Lamar Jackson is a little more flashier, and not to say flashy is a negative tone. Flashy in terms of Lamar is actually a lot faster. He definitely, when you see him on the field, he stands out more than Russell Wilson too, between the two guys anyway. But it's incredible what Lamar has done with his team. And look, I'm starting to believe more and more this team could actually win in Foxborough too. Like, to me, obviously, you look at the AFC contenders, look at Kansas City, looking at obviously with Mahomes if they get the stuff together between now and the end of the year. You look at, of course, the Patriots. You know, the gold standard of the NFL the last 2 decades. You know, there really isn't much bumps in the road for the Ravens moving forward. You know, other than those two teams really. And they almost beat Kansas City earlier in the year, and they beat New England at home a couple weeks ago. So Baltimore has definitely, you know, done his due diligence and has done his job so far. And a large part of course, is because of Lamar Jackson. Now, there's a lot of the thing that annoys about this whole thing with Lamar Jackson is the narrative surrounding it. Whether you believe this is something that's going to work long term or not. People who have said that, you know, who like Clay Travis, for example, Clay Travis of Fox Sports Radio, who said that he doesn't believe this will work long term, and people getting mad that because he says this, that he's a racist or he's this and that. And certainly with Clay Travis, is some things he said in the past, you can sometimes, you know, roll your eyes at some of his comments. But I want to say this though. I do think I do have the same concerns that Clay Travis has as well too, to some degree. Now, Lamar Jackson definitely is a MVP, or definitely number 2, 1, whatever you rank him in the conversation MVP. My concern for Lamar Jackson moving forward has nothing to do with anything he's doing right now. It has to do with the long-term effects. There is no precedent for this for a guy that does what Lamar Jackson does that can sustain this for 8 to 10 years. He's not sliding. When they draw up plays for him and he's going down the field, he's literally off and go with no slides, and that's it. And he's taking hits. And the problem is, as he gets older and the miles pile up, those hits, they start to weigh on you. Look at Cam Newton right now. Cam Newton is 31 years old, and should be in his prime of his career, and instead, right now, hasn't looked the same since the MVP season back in 2015. And a lot of that, too, is because of the hits he's taken. And Lamar Jackson, more so than Cam Newton, is probably taking more hits by the volume because of the fact that he does run more. I mean, Cam Newton runs, but not in the volume of Lamar Jackson. So some of the criticisms and some of the concerns, whether you agree or disagree with what the positions are, in my opinion, valid. Like, I have the same questions, too, about Lamar Jackson. It's going to work this year and probably next year, too. But as teams adjust, and we see this too with a lot of players. Jared Goff last year was a perfect example. Jared Goff was lighting the world on fire last year for the Rams, and then what happened this year? Obviously, not a lot of things. True to that too. The offensive line's been bad this year versus last year. Todd Gurley not the same guy as he was 2 years ago, but Jared Goff's been bad. He's looked like a deer in headlights, and teams do adjust. Teams do adjust to Sean McVay. Teams do adjust to different quarterbacks and different styles of play. Once teams are able to adjust Lamar Jackson next year and the year after that, what's next? And I'm not even saying that Lamar Jackson can't adjust. I think he does it. He could adjust and he will adjust. But my biggest concern with Lamar Jackson is, and I'll say this too, long-term health. Somebody asked me yesterday, would you rather have Lamar Jackson right now or Pat Mahomes? I will still take Pat Mahomes for one reason. Because I know, based on the style of play, Patrick Mahomes will at least, I have a better chance of Pat Mahomes lasting another decade or so, whereas Lamar Jackson, his style of play, unfortunately, you don't know that. And history shows to tell us that quarterbacks that value, not that they value the run to the degree, but the amount of running they do versus, protecting themselves, not sliding, not going out of bounds when they need to. See, Russell Wilson is that guy. Russell Wilson is the one player at an elite level that knows how to play that position where in the same way, but knows when to on the slide, knows when to make the decision to not get extra 2 yards and go out of bounds, knowing that his value for his team is a lot higher, is at his apex, that his availability means more than anything to his team. And with Lamar Jackson, I'm not saying he doesn't know that, but he takes a lot of hits. Even in the game against the Rams, I was still saying on Monday night, wow, that's a couple of big hits there. I hope the Ravens at some point put it to his head that Lamar needs to slide more. He needs to, I understand the big play is a big play, but long term, is Lamar Jackson going to be a 10-year quarterback at the same level? I can't say that because we don't have a precedent for this. Obviously, Russell Wilson's the only one. He's the only one that's done this now. This is now his 8th season now in the NFL. And he's held up. Similar style of play to some degree. But Russell Wilson has been the only guy I know that's been able to play at an elite level now, going into his 30s and still able to hold up body-wise because he makes the decision to slide or go out of bounds. I don't know if Lamar Jackson will be the same guy. I don't know. I hope he does. I hope he lasts. He's exciting he's great for the game. Love watching Ravens games. I mean, I was excited about the game on Monday night. I was so excited that I actually turned off the Heat game. And anybody knows me personally knows I don't ever turn off my Heat game for anything. But I did that for a good portion because I wanted to see Lamar Jackson play. But how long does this last? I don't know. So in some instances, Clay Travis's thoughts or his takes on Lamar Jackson isn't so far-fetched. Now, obviously, some people don't like the source where it comes from, but that doesn't make it wrong either. Because I also have the very same concerns for Lamar Jackson moving forward. So I just hope he starts to slide more and starts to, I'm not saying he's not playing. I'm not going to say play smarter because he's not like he's playing dumb, but know your value for your team. Know your value. Okay, now. Top 5, bottom 5 of this week. I posted on social media. If you didn't see it, again, 1 through 5. 5, of course. Should we go to the bottom 5 first? All right, 28 is the Broncos. lost to the Bills this weekend. I mean, what else? 29, I believe 29 was it the Dolphins this week, I think, top 5? No, 29 is the Giants, actually. And you can make a case they're going to be lower than the Dolphins. I mean, they play a couple weeks, we'll see what happens there. 30, the Dolphins got embarrassed against Cleveland this week. 31, the Redskins finally got the second win of the year with Dwayne Haskins. They're still pretty bad. 32 is the Bengals, who are now on 11, and now they're going back to Andy Dalton, the quarterback, this week for the rest of the season, most likely. As for the top 5, top 5 again has not changed for the third straight week. 5 to see the Saints, New Orleans Saints. Saints are starting to struggle a little bit. They lost Atlanta a couple weeks ago. They won last week against Tampa, but they also barely got through the Carolina Panthers this week. A team that's starting to fall again too. 4 the Seahawks. A big win against Philadelphia this week. I'm not really a big believer in the Seahawks necessarily long term. I believe Russell Wilson, but they're playing better football, and I have to give them credit for that as well too. 3 the Patriots again. Tough win against the Cowboys. Got some questions, of course, about the Patriots moving forward, but at the same time, they're the Patriots, Tom Brady, and even if we think they're not going to win all this year, they deserve the respect and the benefit of the doubt because they are who they are. 6 titles in 2 decades. 2 the Niners. Big win against the Packers. A Packer team I don't necessarily believe in a Super Bowl contender, certainly as a playoff contender, but not a Super Bowl contender. The Niners are starting to grow me now even more. Garoppolo's playing much better football, so I got to give him credit there as well. Number 1, of course, the Ravens, as I said. Lamar Jackson and company doing big things, doing great things, and they are right now the best team in the NFL, in my humble opinion. All right, let's see what else I have on the handle list of things to talk about before we get going here. Let's see. Hold on. My Thanksgiving, what we'll do with the picks next week, I'll for week 13, I'll get my picks for Thanksgiving right here, and maybe on Friday or late Thursday night, I'll do another podcast either on this feed or the RC podcast feed. We'll see what happens there for picks for the rest of the weekend. But for right now, we'll get my Thanksgiving Day picks. I like the Bears plus 1.5 against Detroit on the first game. That's gonna be a stinker. Trubisky against Driscoll, yuck. Who cares? I'll probably eating dinner lunch at that point anyway. So we'll see what happens there. This game, looking forward to the most of the 3 games on the slate. Give me the Dallas Cowboys minus 6.5 over the Buffalo Bills. I think this is going to be a big game for the Cowboys, and they make a statement with all the Jason Garrett talk going on about how he needs to win a Super Bowl to save his job. Personally, I think he should have been done years ago. But the Cowboys, they are a soap opera of epic proportions. So you know how it goes there. But I think they'll win a big game here against the Bills. Although the Buffalo Bills can use a big win against a good team going forward. So this is a statement game for the Bills too. Also, if they win, they'll be a 9-3 and certainly a lock to make the playoffs, at least as a wild card. And the nightcap, of course, the Saints and the Falcons. The Falcons won this game a couple weeks ago in surprise fashion. I'm going to go the other way this week. I think the Saints are going to return the favor in Atlanta and cover 5.5 points. I think the Saints need a big win. They need a big win, and they're still in play for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Right now, the playoffs started today. They're the number 2 seed, I believe. Because by virtue of the fact that number 1 right now is the Niners, so they will still want. Obviously still want the home field advantage. So there's that. So again, Bears plus 1.5 with Detroit, the Cowboys minus 6.5 with Buffalo, and then the Saints minus 5.5 over Atlanta. College playoff rankings came in yesterday. They're as follows: 1 Ohio State, 2 LSU, 3 Clemson, 4 Georgia, and on the outside looking in 5 Alabama, 6 Utah. Now again, this will work itself out to some degree because if Georgia keeps winning out, they play LSU in the SEC title game, and if they win, they should be able to get into the playoffs as well too. LSU is pretty much a lock to get into the title game. Ohio State do their job, of course, to get it in. They got to play Michigan this weekend, which they should win that game as well too. Michigan's playing much better football as of late, but Ohio State is much better than everybody else. Clemson, of course, as long as they don't lose, they're fine. Which they don't have a hard game rest of the year, so they should be fine. The surprise here this week, of course, is Ohio State again flipping LSU second time in 3 weeks in the rankings. I get it. Ohio State's been dominant, and even in that game against Michigan State, it actually was kind of not Michigan State, Penn State this past Saturday. It was competitive, and I guess that's what they're using really as the reason why they leapfrog the teams there. Now that being said, I think LSU should be number 1. But again, I've always said this too. Also with the committee, they always went through a shocker in there because it's pretty much standard. 4 teams in there, no surprises, of course. So Ohio State being number one and leapfrogging LSU again, it would be the shocking thing for the week. They always do that every week to kind of stir conversations, stir discussions throughout the week. So no big deal there. The other one here, of course, is Utah getting to the top 6. They need to win out, of course, to win the Pac-12 and still get help. They will need Georgia to lose another game against either the SEC title game or whoever the game they play next week. I forgot. I think they're playing I don't know, Georgia Tech maybe. No, I don't know who they're playing this week, but they would need some help there too. Alabama's in a good position now too because of the fact that other teams around Oregon lost and whatnot. If Alabama wins their game against Auburn this week, and then they obviously don't play in the SEC title game, but if Georgia loses to LSU, I can see Alabama getting into the still cracking the top 4. So again, another ranking week with some controversy, but it feels like it'll be less chaos moving forward. We'll see how this week goes. A lot of big games this weekend too, rivalry games this week. So we'll see what happens there. So that is it. Thanksgiving edition of the Unfiltered podcast. Stay healthy, have fun with your families. God bless you guys. Be thankful for the people who also are working, especially our first responders who are working the holidays. Be thankful for them as well. And we'll try to do another pod maybe late Thursday night, Friday morning. We'll see what happens. All right, God bless you guys. Take care. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Love you guys. Take care and see ya.